What is going on, guys, and welcome back to another one. I'm sure that you know that September teal is right around the corner, so I'm like super pumped that duck season is finally among us. The leaves are changing just a little bit, so I'm in a good mood lately. So I wanted to film this video about how I like to rig up my decoys. So I've been thinking about how I wanted to structure this video. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna first just show you how to rig them up, just in case that's all you need to know. But then after that, I'm gonna give you guys reasons why I rig things the way that I do, because I'm not just doing random lengths, I'm not just doing random weights. I've like probably re-rigged my decoys conservatively like 5 times. So I think I'm getting it dialed in. Probably don't know if this is gonna be the last time I rig them all, but I'm thinking that this is gonna be the time that it works good. So let me show you guys what I use first, and then we'll get into how to rig it. So first, or let me go this way. So this year I'm going to be running, it's like a 250-pound leader for like saltwater fishing, and the clamps for it, whatever. I think that this is 250 pounds, and I think if I remember right, this is like 0.7 something or other to crimp them. You'll see how I use those in a second. And then I got my pliers. So funny thing about that is I bought those pliers because I was like, I want to make sure I do it right. And they came in the mail, and my dad was like, and my dad's an electrician, and he was like, you know, I have about 3 pairs of those. And I was like, why do you have 3 pairs of those? And he's like, because those are for electrical use. And I was like, ooh, forget it. But anyway, so then I got this number 5 swivel. I only had 1 left, so I decided to save it for my video. Then I have all my non-slip weights. Now these are 2 ounces, so I'm just going to use 3 for 1 decoy. But I rigged it up with this using that leader and the crimp to show you guys that these don't come undone. And I've done this like 6 times just to like try to get it to break a little bit, and I cannot do it. So I'm hopeful with that, because that was a problem I guess not just last year, but ever since I started with my own decoys, rigging up my own, I've used this PVC. I forget what it's called, but this is mono, and then this is like kind of got some stretchy to it. I don't know if you can see that, but that stuff worked all right. Or yeah, that stuff worked all right. But a problem I was having last season was that so if you imagine like my weights right here, I kept on pulling my decoys out, and then right here where my thumbnail is, it was ripping, and I thought it was because I was getting my decoys in the mornings and I was throwing them out there, and I was thinking as that line got tight, it just was snapping my my weights off. But one morning I was hunting in like really shallow water, and I just picked my decoy up, and then it just went dink like that. So I think that it's just not very good stuff. I'm not a fan. If you have some, or it's the only stuff you can find, it'll work. But I probably re-rigged 75% of my decoys last year using that stuff, and it was just annoying because I would probably, like, on any given morning I would have like at least 2 decoys I couldn't use because they snapped as I was putting my decoys out. Anyway, I'll get back to the subject. I meant to save that for after I rigged this up, but I just figured I'd give that a mention right before I got into the rigging. So yeah, I'll go ahead and show you guys now. Okay, so first, I'm not sure if I mentioned this or not, but I like to run Texas rigs, so just putting that out there. So first, I'm gonna run my crimp, or whatever you want to call it, through there, and then get my 6 ounces of weights, just like that. Make a loop, push that guy through there. Now I don't like to leave a whole lot of extra on the back. Like, see, I like to pull it back just a little bit. I feel like that gets caught. At least with that other material I was using, it usually got caught, but we'll see how this stuff goes this season. So now what I'm doing, you see how there's those little divots? Those spikes I'm splitting the line with those, so watch. Get it set. See how I have that? Hopefully that comes out good. Crimp that down. Then now it comes out like that. So that was kind of a terrible one. Might have to redo that. Yeah, let me redo that one real quick. Sorry about that. I rigged up probably almost all my decoys and I didn't do that, but I think I wasn't looking down on it, so I couldn't see. I ended up crimping over one of the lines, and I'm actually going to use this decoy this season, so I don't want to have any variables. So let me get that going. See if that comes out good. There we go. That's a better one. See that? See how it split them? And then just do the bottom. There we go. Okay, now let me step back. I'll run this all the way to the ground. The weight hits the ground. I'm gonna bring it up to eye level, and I'm gonna cut it. So, like I said in the beginning, I have a reason for making it this long, and I'll explain why here in a little bit. Okay, so now I'll get my swivel, just an ordinary barrel swivel. Like I said, is a number 5. Like for fishing. Put that on, drop it to the bottom because you don't need that with you. Now I like to make a big old loop. I'll show you guys why here in a little bit. Do a little crimp. All right, there we go. So now I'm all rigged up. And let me show you, in case you guys are unfamiliar with what a Texas rig is. I got my mallard decoy here. Now, when I'm rigging up all of them, I just go back and forth. So make one rig, put it on the front. Next rig I make, I put it in the back. That's just to make it so that not all my decoys are facing the same way when they're in the water. Just like a little bit more realism. So there's like just a little tip for you guys if this is your first time rigging up your own decoys. So now I got it snapped on there with that. Let's see, is that gonna work out with that fishing lure, or the fishing swivel? So now, ducks in the water. At the end of the morning, I'm coming to pick up all my decoys, get my carabiner, clip it on there, and like I said, I like to make the loop big because some mornings it gets cold and you just want to pick them up and then just like chink, and then the decoy falls all the way to the bottom. The weight's down there, and then you have this nice thing that you can just throw over your shoulder just like that and walk on out of the marsh or the ponds or the river or whatever. And then in the mornings I usually like to just get my weight like that and then just get my keel and throw it. But some people, they'll just they'll take it off their carabiner, then they'll drop their decoy to the bottom, and then they'll just throw them like that. But I'm not a big fan of that. I think just because I was using that other material for so long, so maybe I'll pick up on that habit this season. Alright guys, so now that I got that knocked out, I'm going to explain why I do the things that I do on that rig. So first of all, the Texas rig, I just like that because it's easy to pick up in the mornings. You don't have to touch that line and get your hands wet. As you know, it gets cold going duck hunting, especially when it's the end of December and it's 5 degrees and you don't want to be getting your hands wet. So that Texas rig just allows me to pick up my decoys, hook that carabiner on there, and then just drop it to the bottom. I don't have to get my hands wet. So that's the reason for that. The 6 ounce, when I first got my decoys, I just had 2 ounces on, and it was these same weights, or the same mold anyway. And they held, but I would have to chase my decoys, and if I'm out on the river or standing in the middle of my spread, you know, it's like inevitable that some ducks are gonna fly over and bust you. So I just was like, you know what, I'm gonna mold up some more, just put 6 ounces on there. They still get away every now and then, but they don't get away as much, nearly as much as they used to. So So now we'll talk about the length. So that's the other thing, is you're thinking, gosh dang, that's a long, oops, that's a long leader. But when I first started, my thought process was, I'm gonna make it as long as the top of my waders. That way if I throw it out there, it's not gonna catch anywhere I can't retrieve it. So that's what I did. And what ended up happening, let me see if I can get a good example here. So I'm on the current, right? And you imagine this is a lot shorter. So it hits the bottom, bink. And then, here, let's see, how can I explain this better? There we go. So that's about as tall as my other rigs were. So that was the thought process, right? If it's this tall, then it's not gonna go over my waders. So I'd throw it out there, and it was in a place where I could hunt, I can retrieve my decoys. But what ended up happening is it would hit the bottom, and then the current would just walk my weight just like that, because it wasn't laying flat on the bottom. So now I make my decoys longer. That way I throw it out, it hits the bottom, and then now the current pushes my decoy over, and now you see how it's at an angle like that. Now all my weights are laying flat, and the water is able to pass right over them, and it seems like it helps my decoys stick a little bit better. So that's why I do those. Like I said, I guess I'll just touch up on it a little bit. When I'm making my decoy, my leaders, or whatever you want to call it, my rigs, make one, put it in the front, make the next one, put it in the back, and I'll just knock out all my decoys. So the reason for that, they say that a lot of front-facing ducks, like ducks facing one direction, that's like a sign that they're spooked and they're about to take off. And I would agree with that, but at the same time, I think it's just like, it looks unnatural. It's sort of like a straight line. You know how they say there's no such a thing as a straight line in the forest? It's sort of the same thing. I feel like that it's very rare to see 2.5, 3 dozen ducks all facing the same direction. It's a little bit unnatural. So if you're rigging your decoys up, just remember that just to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, or even just put 2 in the front, 1 in the back, 2 in the front, 1 in the back, just as long as they're not all facing the same direction, because I will say that it looks a little bit unnatural. So anyway, I hope you guys learned something. Hit that subscribe button, because this Wednesday is the dove opener, and then I believe next Saturday is September teals. So you don't want to miss that. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Hope you learned something, and I'll see you next week.